without further ado, let's give a warm round of applause for David Meek.
Kidding. That'd be a horrible thought. Okay, thank you for having me. I love this stuff. I always have. It's the first one. Tonight I'm going to do something I haven't done since I was an adolescent. I'm going to read you a story that I wrote. It's not a poem. It's not a story poem. It's just a short story. And eat your heart out, Stephen King. This is called Concerning What Happened on All Hallows Eve. The unexpected October storm was a real bitch kitty. Hard, cold rain slashed down at an angle, driven by a fierce, freezing wind. Terence Harris could see it trying to become sleet as it assaulted his windshield. His wipers could barely keep the glass clear enough to see where he was at on the rural road that led to his country home. And the worst of the 8-mile drive was coming up, the curvy, twisting part where the trees grew dense and nearly reached the shoulder of the road. It promised to be an ordeal. He would be relieved to see that huge old oak tree that marked the last curve before his driveway. Terence unscrewed the cap on the pint bottle of whiskey that he held between his thighs and took a sip. Not too much. He'd had a few before leaving the partnership's annual Halloween party and the braying asses who were his co-workers. Their alcohol-fueled gaiety had worn thin hours before, and even the spiked punch had failed to lighten his mood or hold the memories at bay. Furtive sips from his own private bottle had seemed to help, but only for a short while, and his anger, always smoldering just under the surface these days, rose unbidden, accompanied by the memories. The memories, the damned memories of 1 year ago this very night, Halloween. Somehow it seemed fitting that the memories should accompany the increasing violence of the raging storm. The memories. Oh God, her face. The abject terror there as she threw back her head in a reflexive attempt to avoid what was by that point inevitable. The look in her eyes, disbelief, denial. He took another larger nip from his pint to push the memories away, again to no avail. He could hear her shrewish voice earlier that fateful evening as she flung accusations in his face. Liar, cheat, faithless fool, I will destroy you. You will lose everything. I'll take it all. And he knew she could and would, for he was all she labeled him and more. Damn. He took another generous pull from the now nearly empty bottle and reached to turn on the car radio. Anything to distract him, keep him from reliving the rage that had consumed him at her threats. The memory of seeing the carving knife on the counter so close at hand. The memory of taking it up, turning toward her, the knife arcing through the air, and the blood. All that blood. How could there be so much blood? No, damn it, he wouldn't remember. He reached to increase the volume on the car radio and felt the car lose traction and begin to slide. He fought the slide momentarily and regained control. Man, that was close. He had to keep his attention on driving this crazy storm, not on the memory of a hastily dug grave in the orchard behind the house, the damp smell of newly turned earth as he shoveled it over her, nor the hours of cleaning the kitchen, scouring away every trace of what he had done. Stop this, he whimpered to himself. Think of something else, anything else. Again, he reached for the radio knob, hoping to hear a weather report. Almost home now, he muttered as he drained the remaining whiskey from his bottle. Empty. Well, no matter. Plenty more at home. Enough, he knew, to allow him to sleep away the remainder of this cursed night, this damnable Halloween, to still the memories for a while at least. Then the voice of the radio announcer grabbed his attention. What was that? Something about a local attorney? The voice on the radio was suddenly all he could hear. Repeating our top story this hour, local attorney Terence Harris died at the stroke of midnight tonight when the car he was driving left the road at an excessive rate of speed and crashed headlong into a roadside tree. Mr. Harris, the sole occupant of the car, was killed instantly. He was, coincidentally, only a few hundred yards from his home and safety. Alcohol was believed to play a part in this tragedy, as was the unusually violent storm that has been raging through our area for the past several hours. Terence was thunderstruck. What was this insanity? How could that newscast be? As his stunned mind tried to understand, Terence became aware of a horrible stench, the smell of putrid meat. An unearthly cold suddenly filled the car. He glanced in the rearview mirror and felt his heart falter. She was there, right behind him, his murdered wife. Her stringy hair clotted with damp earth, flesh rotting from her deathly pale face, bloodless lips shrunken and twisted into a horrible parody of her once beautiful smile, and her eyes, oh God, her eyes glowed a demon red. Her eyes held his as she lifted her withered claw of a hand so he could see what she held. The knife, the very carving knife he had used to cut her throat, the knife he had buried with her corpse, and it was wet with and coated with fresh blood, red blood. The highway patrolman, waiting at the accident scene for the arrival of the coroner's vehicle, peered up at the rapidly clearing night sky. It was unsettling how quickly the storm had blown away. It had been a strange night, this Halloween. One other thing kept his thoughts unsettled. It was obvious that the victim of the crash had been drinking the empty bottle, the strong smell of whiskey. It was obvious that he had been driving at an excessive rate of speed and was the sole occupant of the car as it smashed headlong into the huge old oak tree. It was equally obvious he had died instantly as a result of the crash. So why and how had his throat been cut from ear to ear? Thank you. How'd I do, Deb?